Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about B.P.R.D. Omnibus Volume 1. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent. And today we're talking about B.P.R.D. Omnibus Volume 1. Yes, these are the newer collections. If you have the old ones, this corresponds, I believe, to Plague of Frogs, Volume 1. So this is the new Omnibus format. I've done a couple of overviews. I think of the first three that I have. Three or four. I think three. Anyway, of these new omnibuses, so you can see what they collect and things like that. But Dark Horse is collecting the BPRD series in chronological order in a 10-volume set. The thing that I have seen so far is that they seem to be skipping over the BPRD 1946, 47, and 48 series. So that is a separate omnibus. I don't know if it'll be collected later, but those are, like, I guess they were published in the original volumes of Plague of Frogs or as their own trade paperback. So if you're looking at why this collects certain things and not others, that is why they're collected elsewhere. They're not collected here in this omnibus. So this is all the modern adventures, so to speak, of the BPRD after Hellboy leaves them, after Conqueror Worm. So if you want to check out Hellboy's journey and my thoughts about it, you can check out the Hellboy playlist here on the channel. All of my Hellboy stuff is there. But basically, after Conqueror Worm and the BPRD tries to put a bomb in Roger the Homunculus, Hellboy leaves, and that's kind of where this story picks up. Now, this is kind of an interesting book because we're not really in the thick of the story by the end of this first volume. A lot of this first volume is written and drawn by other artists. You have different writers. It says, Mike Mignola and Guy Davis on here, and those are the main creators, along with John Arcudi, as we go forward on BPRD. I know that for a fact. But you have a lot of other guest creators here doing BPRD stories. You got Jeff Johns, Christopher Golden, Scott Collins, Cameron Stewart, Michael Avon Oming, and I don't know why he's not mentioned here on the first one. He does like the first 4 issues here. Is Ryan Sook does the first 4 issues here of BPRD. So this omnibus collects the stories Hollow Earth, Abe Sapien vs. Science, Drums of the Dead, Soul of Venice, Dark Waters, Night Train, There's Something Under My Bed, Another Day at the Office, Plague of Frogs, and a very lengthy sketchbook. So that's fun about it. So Plague of Frogs Omnibus Volume 1 probably didn't work that well in the older printings because it's the last story in here. But it is the only story kind of that, along from the first one here, which is, Hollow Earth, that kind of sets up the ongoing storyline of BPRD. Like, Hollow Earth is 3 or 4 issues. Plague of Frogs, I believe, is 5 or 6. And those are the only ones that feel like they're in continuity and actually mean anything going forwards. Hollow Earth, we're introduced to a new character, which we saw in Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. It's the character of Johan, and he's this bubble-headed guy. Here on this page, he's just a ethereal spirit that is trapped on Earth, so to speak, but he occupies this kind of bag of a body and can detect paranormal activity and things like that. So that's kind of our main cast. You have Roger the Homunculus, you have Abe Sapien, the Fishman, you have Johan, I want to call him Von Klaus, but that's not his name, and you have Liz, who's the fire girl, and then you have the head of operations. I think her name is Kate, right? So we're kind of getting to know all of these characters, and it isn't until Plague of Frogs that you kind of start tying into the main Hellboy universe. You have the mention of the Ogdru Juhad, the Frogmen that we saw in the beginning of Hellboy Volume 1. Oh gosh, what's it called? Seed of Destruction. So that storyline is coming back here to kind of haunt the BPRD, and Hellboy's gone missing. But that's the end of the story, or the end of the omnibus. That's not to say that it's bad, though. I definitely did enjoy reading this. Hollow Earth with Ryan Sook is a pretty interesting story. You have these ancient slaves underneath everything. You're kind of delving into a little bit of like the origin of Abe Sapien and why he is the way he is, because Hellboy treated him a certain way. And then you get a little bit more of that with the very last issue here in this omnibus with the Plague of Frogs. It's 5 or 6, where you kind of learn that Abe Sapien might have been human once upon a time. It's not quite clear yet. But like I was reading through the sketchbook and it kind of made it a little bit clearer. And then you go back and look at those pages and you're like, okay, I can see what they're doing even though they didn't spell it out all the way through. But it's got some great art in here. Cameron Stewart stuff is great. John Arcudi's great. Or not John Arcudi. Guy Davis stuff is great. Ryan Sook stuff is great. The Scott Collins little one issue with Lobster Johnson and this ghost train. That's a whole lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. So there's some fun stuff in here. I feel like this is a good primer. Like if you're going to get into BPRD, at least get a taste of a bunch of stories with these characters and see if you like that kind of thing. And if you don't like the one and dones or the main stories in here, then maybe you shouldn't journey down the BPRD Omnibus route. I've already committed to it because I've bought the first 5. So we're going to go all the way. But I'm glad to have enjoyed this first one as much as I did, even though it's not really like into the meat of the BPRD story yet. It's fun. I enjoy the world. I enjoy the characters, and I'm going to keep going. So I'm glad I have the rest of these volumes to go through. So we'll keep reading these. We'll come back to them every once in a while. It doesn't really feel like it's have to read one after the other yet, but we'll see where it goes from here. So let me know down below about your thoughts about BPRD, about the series as a whole, or the beginning of it, these first couple of stories here. And I will see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.